They are mad because you choose distance, and clearly don't care. You know what happens when you finally choose peace. When you finally choose yourself, people get mad. They get uncomfortable. They act like you owe them your energy, your time, your soul. But here's the truth: you don't owe anybody anything. That costs you your peace. Let me say that again: you do not owe your peace to people who never offered you theirs. You choose distance because silence is sometimes the loudest answer. You choose space because it is the only place left where you can hear your own voice. And yes, they are mad, but that's not your problem, because when you stop showing up for dysfunction, when you stop participating in drama, when you decide you are worth more than constant noise, you break a pattern, you set a boundary, you declare, this is where I stop losing myself. And when you do that, you will feel guilt knocking at your door, regret trying to sneak in, memories telling you maybe they were right, but no, you were right to choose yourself. You were right to walk away. You were right to let the silence speak for you. They are mad because they can no longer control you, because your care was their fuel. And now that you stopped, they are running on empty. So let them be mad. Let them talk. Let them wonder. Because while they're busy being offended, you are busy healing. You are busy becoming. You are finally free. And my God, that is something worth fighting for. Choosing distance is an act of self-respect. It is not cruelty. It is not arrogance. It is not selfishness. It is simply the sacred decision to honor your own energy. There comes a time in every person's life when they realize they can no longer continue giving parts of themselves away just to keep peace with others. The truth is, peace that costs your mental stability is not peace at all. It's a performance. It's a mask you wear to survive conversations that feel like confrontations, relationships that feel like obligations, and environments that slowly drain the life out of you. When you choose distance, you are not walking away in anger. You are walking away in clarity. You are no longer willing to fight for space in places where your presence is taken for granted. You are no longer willing to explain your worth to people who never truly listen. You are no longer placing your value in how many texts you respond to, how many favors you say yes to, or how quickly you can be there for someone else when you have not even been there for yourself. People often misunderstand this. They see your silence as coldness. They see your absence as betrayal. They start whispering things like you've changed, or you're being distant, or you think you're better than everyone else. But what they don't realize is that you've just finally come home to yourself, and that home is quiet. That home is peaceful. That home is not built on guilt or shame or obligation. That home was built with time, with truth, with tears you cried when no one was watching, and prayers you whispered when no one could hear you. And now that you've found it, you're not willing to let it go just to satisfy someone else's version of who you should be. This kind of distance is powerful. It's not loud. It doesn't slam doors. It doesn't burn bridges. It simply lets go. It allows people to have their opinions without needing to argue. It allows the past to stay in the past without needing to fix every broken piece. It allows love to still exist without needing to be close, because distance isn't about hate. It's about healing. You may feel guilt at first, that heavy tug in your chest that says maybe you should have stayed. Maybe you should have called. Maybe you could have done more. But pause for a moment and ask yourself, how much more of yourself were you willing to lose trying to prove you cared? Was it really love if it required you to shrink? Was it really loyalty if it left you feeling alone in the room? Real love will never require you to abandon yourself. Real connection will never ask you to silence your truth to make someone else comfortable. And when you choose distance, you are making a loud declaration to the world. I will no longer betray myself for the sake of belonging. This choice doesn't make you unkind. In fact, it makes you wiser. Because anyone can stay and pretend. Anyone can nod and smile and fake their way through discomfort, but it takes strength to walk away with grace. It takes courage to say, I wish you well, but I wish myself peace even more. It takes honesty to say, I care about you, but I cannot keep losing myself to keep you close. Choosing distance is not about creating enemies. It's about creating space, space to breathe, space to think, space to heal, space to rediscover who you are without the weight of who you were expected to be. And in that space, you begin to grow. You begin to hear your own voice again. You begin to remember your dreams, your passions, your joy. And yes, some people will be mad. Some people will talk. They will project their disappointment onto you and try to make you feel like you are the one who changed for the worse. But deep down, you know you changed for the better. You chose growth over comfort. You chose truth over performance. You chose healing over pleasing. Let them misunderstand you. Let them label you. Let them tell their side of the story. That is their right. But your right is to protect your peace. Your right is to guard your energy. Your right is to walk away from anything that forces you to become someone you're not. Because at the end of the day, you're the one who has to live with yourself. You're the one who has to wake up in your skin and fall asleep with your thoughts, and you deserve to do that in peace. So choose distance if you must. Choose silence if it helps you heal. Choose you fully, unapologetically, and completely. Because you are not here to be everything for everyone. You are here to be whole. You are here to be real. You are here to be free. And sometimes the first step toward freedom is stepping away. People get mad when they lose access to the version of you that served their comfort. That's the real reason behind their anger. It's not that you suddenly became a bad person. It's not that you stopped caring altogether. It's that you stopped showing up in the ways that benefited them most. The version of you that always said yes even when it hurt. The version of you that always replied immediately, showed up on demand, and offered time and energy even when you had none left for yourself. That version of you was convenient, predictable, easy to manipulate, and when that version disappeared, so did their sense of control. People like you better when you're tired and quiet and always available. They like you when you doubt yourself, when you overextend, when you say sorry for things that aren't your fault. They like you when you're unsure of your worth, because it makes it easier for them to take up space in your life without earning it. They don't celebrate your boundaries because your boundaries force them to look at themselves. They don't applaud your distance because your distance disrupts the comfort they had in taking you for granted. The moment you start choosing yourself, everything changes. You begin to say no without explanation. You cancel plans that don't feel right. You stop chasing people who don't chase you back. You no longer beg for love, for attention, for time. And that is when people start saying you've changed. That is when they call you distant, selfish, or cold. But what they're really saying is you're no longer who they need you to be in order for them to feel comfortable. There is a silent power in this, because when you break a pattern, you not only heal yourself, you force others to confront their behavior, and that is uncomfortable. That is what people avoid. They would rather blame you than look in the mirror. They would rather call you fake than admit they were only invested in you when it was easy. When you begin to love yourself, you become harder to manipulate, and for those who relied on your weakness to feel strong, that shift is threatening. But don't let that pull you back. Don't shrink again just to make someone else feel big. Don't soften your truth to ease their discomfort. You are not obligated to keep playing a role in someone else's story if that role comes at the cost of your peace. It doesn't matter how long you've known them. It doesn't matter how much history you share. If they only showed up for the version of you that was bending and breaking to keep the connection alive. They were never really there for you at all. There will be people who disappear when you start healing. Let them. There will be people who distance themselves when you start growing. Let them, because the ones who love you will adapt. The ones who care will evolve. The ones who see you as more than just a source of convenience will celebrate your transformation, not resent it. Their anger is not yours to carry. Their confusion is not yours to explain. You are not here to babysit other people's emotions or constantly apologize for becoming the person you were always meant to be. You are allowed to grow beyond the role they assigned you. You are allowed to outgrow conversations, relationships, and expectations that no longer match who you are. What they're really mad about is that they can't reach you in the same way anymore. You don't respond to the same triggers. You don't fall into the same patterns. You don't entertain the same drama, and that frustrates them. Because people who rely on access to your energy without respecting your worth will always panic when that access is removed. They weren't prepared to lose the version of you that served their comfort. But that's not your fault. That's not your job to fix. You did not come this far just to return to an old version of yourself for someone else's convenience. You did not fight through your battles just to settle for connections that dim your light. You are allowed to be different now. You are allowed to take up space. You are allowed to protect your peace without explanation or apology. So when they're mad, let them be mad. Let them sit with their discomfort. Let them wrestle with the version of you they can no longer manipulate. You don't have to argue. You don't have to defend. Your growth is the only explanation you need. Your healing is your boundary. Your self-respect is your revolution, and those who are meant for you will not be threatened by your evolution. They will rise with it. You are no longer available for the roles you once played out of fear or obligation. You are not responsible for how people react to your healing. Your job is not to be liked. Your job is to be whole, to be free, to be deeply rooted in who you are becoming, because that version of you is no longer someone's convenience. That version of you is powerful. That version of you is home. You don't owe your energy to anyone who drains it. That is a hard truth to learn, especially if you were raised to believe that love means sacrifice, that kindness means saying yes, that loyalty means staying even when it hurts. But the truth is, energy is a limited resource, and if you keep pouring it into people who never pour it back, eventually you are left empty, numb, disconnected from yourself. You wake up tired, not just in your body, but in your spirit. You start to lose the joy in the things that once lit you up, and you wonder what went wrong when all along the answer was simple. You were giving away too much of yourself to people who gave you nothing in return. You were raised to be generous, to be helpful, to be available, but no one told you there would be people who would take advantage of that, people who would confuse your kindness for weakness, people who would only show up when they needed something, then disappear when you needed them, people who would expect you to carry their weight but vanish the moment you were struggling to carry your own. So you gave, and you gave, and you gave, hoping that if you loved them harder, they'd finally see your worth. If you showed up one more time, they'd finally be there for you. But that day never came, because people who take without giving never think they're doing anything wrong. They think you'll always be there. They think you'll always answer. They think your love has no limit, and when you finally stop, when you finally say no, when you finally pull back, they act shocked, hurt, offended, as if they didn't drain you in the first place. But your job is not to keep proving your loyalty to people who treat you like an option. Your job is not to keep showing up for those who never ask how you're really doing. You are not required to sacrifice your peace for the sake of someone else's comfort. And you are allowed, fully allowed, to protect your energy like it's sacred, because it is. It's the fuel that powers your dreams, your healing, your happiness, and not everyone deserves access to it. It's not cruel to say no. It's not mean to walk away. It's not heartless to decline that call, ignore that text, or choose solitude over company that exhausts you. It's self-respect. It's wisdom. It's knowing that your energy is a gift and not everyone has earned it. And you don't have to explain that to anyone. You don't need permission to protect your space. You don't need validation to reclaim your time. You just need to trust that choosing yourself is enough. There will be people who try to make you feel guilty for this. They will say you're distant, you've changed, you're not who you used to be, and they're right, you're not, because who you used to be was tired, overextended, emotionally burnt out. Who you used to be didn't have boundaries. Who you used to be didn't know it was okay to rest, to say no, to walk away. Now you do, and anyone who can't respect that is revealing their true colors. They were never really here for you. They were here for what you gave them. So protect your energy without guilt. You're not here to fix everyone. You're not here to carry the emotional load of every friend, every family member, every partner who refuses to do their own work. You are allowed to have boundaries. You are allowed to take care of yourself first, because if you don't, no one else will. And when you start doing this, when you start protecting your peace, something beautiful happens. You begin to feel lighter. You start to smile more. You wake up with clarity. You begin to remember what it feels like to be you, unburdened, unhindered. You create space for the things and people that truly feed your soul. You make room for rest, for joy, for creativity, for growth. And most of all, you remember that your worth was never meant to be measured by how much of yourself you give away. You don't need to be everything for everyone. You don't need to hold everyone else together while falling apart inside. You don't need to be the fixer, the helper, the always, their friend if it's costing you your own wellness. Because the truth is, when you stop giving your energy to the wrong things, you start attracting the right things. When you stop pouring into the wrong people, you finally have something left to pour into yourself. And from that fullness, from that overflow, you are finally able to give, not out of obligation, not out of fear, not out of guilt, but out of joy. That is the kind of giving the world needs, giving from a place of wholeness, giving that doesn't leave you empty, giving that uplifts others while still honoring yourself. That is what protecting your energy makes possible. So never feel bad for choosing yourself. Never apologize for conserving your energy. You are not cold. You are not selfish. You are just learning what it means to love yourself as deeply as you've loved everyone else. And that, in the end, is the most powerful thing you can do.